My name is Mom, an alcoholic.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't stop smiling. I think when I'm nervous, I smile. But yeah, I haven't shaken that much since my last withdrawal, so it's kind of hectic. Yeah, like at the moment, there's like two major defects of mine that's kind of playing out. One is fear, obviously. There's like a room of people around me. They all like settle and relax, and I'm like shaking and like trying to share. And the other one is my ego, because I want to have like this great share that everybody goes outside and talk about it. But that's not the reason why I'm here today. The reason why I'm here today is one of the promises coming through for me. I started doing a bit of my amends, which I'm going to get into a bit later, but the part where it says, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. I don't really feel useless today, because I'm being able to share my experience and hopefully help somebody else, because that's what it's about. Yeah, so my story, just going to do what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I do believe that I was born an alcoholic, so I had the disease since I was a kid, and there was stuff that wasn't normal. And at that time, like, I didn't know anything, obviously, about Alcoholics Anonymous and about the disease. All I knew was I was different from other people. I couldn't figure out why. From a very young age, I started lying. I was born in a very loving family, very loving religious family. I got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And I was brought up with moral values, like how to act as a normal human being and behave well in society. But yeah, from a very young age, I started lying. And my dad always reminded me about that incident. I was sitting with my sister, and it's a funny incident, but it was a lie. I was sitting with my sister. We were at my grandparents' place. She was getting like all the attention, and I didn't like it. I was younger than her, and I bit her on her cheek. And I knew I was going to get into trouble. I felt that fear, and when my grandparents came, they asked me, who did that? I told them, no, it was a ghost that did it, and it's hiding behind the couch. Like, it's a very small lie, but I knew I wasn't going to get into trouble, and they bought into the story, because I'm a kid, and obviously they were playing with me. But I kind of like saw that when I lie, I get my way through. I don't get into trouble. And yeah, that kind of carry on with stuff that I'd steal sweets and chocolate at home when everybody's sleeping. And then when my dad would ask, where's the chocolate? I'd go in the whole fridge and look for it, but I've already stole it. I've already eaten it. But that became a usual thing for me, just to lie. And I remember going to primary school. I could never understand why, because the rest of my 2 brothers and sisters, they went to the same school. I went to another school. I went to Islamic school. Yeah, I could never understand why I got to go to that school, and I wasn't like them. Like, I didn't go to the same school, so I kind of already started feeling separate and apart. I was a very reserved kid. The only time I felt comfortable was around my family. Around any other people, I just couldn't speak, or I wouldn't get into conversation. So I had to find a way to make friends. And what I used at that point was I used my education. I was good at studying and like getting good marks in exams. So I found that guy that like had an older brother in the school, and he was like the cool kid in the school. So I showed him all my answers in the exams, and I just leave one blank, so I get like just a bit more percentage than him. I'm still first because I have to come first, and then he'll come second. And I bought him like this. I bought him as my friend. So he was like, yeah, you're my friend, because I sat next to him in the exams and everything. So yeah, I kind of like hid behind his identity. So I was that guy's friend always. I wasn't me. I was that guy's friend. And it carried on like this. I remember I wouldn't be able to speak to any girls. I was very shy, very reserved, and there was this one girl that I really wanted to go speak to, and I saw this one best friend of mine, that went and spoke to her. And I remember at that point, like, I was angry. I was like, why can he do it and I can't do it? But I didn't say anything to him because I was afraid to lose him as my friend. Therefore, I lose my identity. I don't know who I am. And I kind of like just went under the radar there, just kind of blended around whoever I was with. And yeah, but I think I was still a good kid then. Well, obviously I was still lying. I got the privilege to like take people that don't do their homework to like the principal's office. So we won't go to the principal's office. We'll hide behind the stairs, and I'll get to slap all of them and then take them back to the classroom. So, and then just lie like, yeah, we brought them to the principal. They said, don't do it again, whatever. So that was over, and yeah, I remember my exam came after the primary school. My exam came, and I had to go to high school. And my sister already did her exam. She was in high school now. So she got like one of the top school for girls in Mauritius. I was born in Mauritius, by the way. Yeah, so that level of expectation was like already set. So I was like, I have to beat her, or I need to get the best school, or else my parents are going to be disappointed and whatever. So I kind of like strive for that, but I always had those like big dreams, like big plans, but I wouldn't put the effort for it. I wouldn't study. Like she studied day in, day out. Like she would study a lot to get that result. I wouldn't study. I would just be like, yeah, you know what, like I'm going to get it, I'm going to make it, but wouldn't put the action for it. And I didn't manage to achieve that goal. And like at that moment, it was just like I was a failure. Like it was all gone for me. I failed at that, so I'm going to fail at everything else. It was all gone. And then high school came. So like I was exposed to a different like type of people because they went to like government school. I went to Islamic school. So yeah, I remember I felt very separate and apart. I couldn't fit in. But I thought to myself that, you know what, I'm going to a new school. I don't know anybody there, so I can be whoever I want, and people will like me. So there I started that game of like blending in every kind of groups. The smart groups, I blended with them. The naughty kids, I blended with them. And I always tend to make friends with people that are older than me because I thought they were cooler. So yeah, kind of, I lost interest in studying. Didn't want that life anymore. And I remember I didn't like my family also because I couldn't achieve the expectation. And yeah, when I just got to high school, my grandfather died. So we went to his funeral, but I had no feelings or emotion attached to it. It was just like blank for me. It was just like, cool, you dead, like whatever, let's move on, you know. And what I was interested about is he bought a carton of cigarettes from Dubai, and I was interested in that. So as soon as that came to my house, and nobody smoked in my house at that point, I took a box of cigarettes and took it to school. So I could start being the cool kid, the one that like break rules and, you know, be a rebel and go behind the bush and smoke a cigarette. It wasn't really the cigarette, but it was the thrill behind it, like, you know, hiding around, bunking class to go smoke cigarette, and then putting perfume in my mouth to go back to class. That's like, I feed on that. I feed on that thrill. I loved it. And yeah, when I was 12 years old, I decided my family was not okay for me, so I had to find another family because I know how to control my life. I know where I'm going. I'm only 12 years old, but don't tell me anything. I know what I'm doing. So I decided to run away from home. I left a note and whatever. I'm never coming back, blah, blah, blah. And then I left. I think it was around Christmas time. I was just walking on the street, like as a kid. People are drunk, like walking around. I'm having chat with them on the street. Yeah, I had to make my parents go through this. Like my mom was walking the street while like in this festive time and trying to look for me on the street. So they finally got me back, and like they cried and whatever, and I cried, and Yeah, they said, yeah, they will treat me better and whatever, and I came back home. Um, and then, yeah, a year later, I got introduced to my first substance. And, yeah, I remember all my fears went away. It was amazing. I was able to have conversation about stuff that I don't even know about. I made stories, like big stories. My stories had to be bigger than yours. And it was just fun. So my justification for that was it's God's nature, it's God's creation, so it's cool, like it's not drugs, you know? It's not something illegal. And I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going to do anything else. But my behavior around this was not the same as other people. So we kind of like smoked it on an occasion. And the next thing I said was, when are we doing it again? Because I want that feeling again. I want to feel okay again. So when are we doing it again? They're like, no, not in a year's time. I'm like, no, bro. Like, I need this tomorrow. And so I started stealing. My dad used to come back from work, so he'd leave his wallet on the table. And there was this whole plan in my head. Like, I observe what time does he go to the dining room, what time is he on the TV, what time this person is sleeping. So when is the time I can sneak in to get that money? And I paid for the substance, and I got it again the next day. And then it just kind of became a daily thing for me. That's what it became for. And at first it was just like socializing to do it so I can talk to people and whatever. And yeah, not interested in school. But then after that, it became like smoking it at home because I just wanted to constantly be on that feeling. Didn't want to feel sad, didn't want to feel angry, didn't want to feel depressed. I just wanted to be mellow all the time. And so yeah, that didn't work out too well for me because after a while, it stopped working. It just stopped working, and I started breaking all the stuff that I said I'm not going to do. It all started happening. So I got introduced to like new drugs, and I would start stealing more from my house. Like I would steal my brothers and sisters' money. I'd steal jewelry from the house, and I'd had my plan. Like I really felt like I was being in Mission Impossible movie and I would download the song and put it in my ear, and I would go on my mission, like trying to find money. Like, yeah, and it was, and my friends that were using with me, I told them straight, like, I'm stealing money, and it's like, yeah, you're good at missioning, and like, I really thought I was Mission Impossible. Anyway, so that kind of went on for a while, and yeah, I think I lost interest in anything else apart from putting a substance inside my body and make me feel different. And I would do anything for it. And I remember then going on to like stimulants and everything, and I was always like, I started getting more fearful than I normally am before using the substance. And I bought this taser, and I would walk around with my taser in my back all the time because everybody was out to get me. And I lived in fear. I hide everything. And yeah, I would be in school, but nobody would know I'm there. So like people would hear stuff, like they would talk about stuff about me, but they don't really know who I am in that school because I would just be like in there, and I would be using, and I'd go home after that. So yeah, when it got like kind of really bad, obviously I didn't see it as bad at that time. So it was one day in school, like we kind of came in together with a group of friends, and we were using and whatever, and I can't really remember exactly what happened, but yeah, I think I took a little bit too much, so I was overdosing. Like the school kind of got an info that they're using drugs on the premises. The police came. I got arrested for drug dealing and drug using on school premises. And so yeah, they couldn't take me to a holding cell because I was unable to walk, I was unable to talk. But in my head, it wasn't like this. In my head, I was like, no, just leave me here, like I'm going to use and I'm going to pass out and I'm going to wake up tomorrow. It's going to be another day. So yeah, I ended up in ICU. I woke up tied to the bed. They told me I wanted to run away from the hospital, but I can't remember any of this. So after that, my parents tricked me to go into rehab. They said, we're going on a holiday to Malaysia. So I was like, yay, use drug and deal drug and get into the ICU. So your reward is go on a holiday, yay. So I was happy. So they're like, but you're only going if you stay in the house for a week and you're in lockdown. I was like, okay, cool. And at that time, my withdrawal was basically just eating a lot and sleeping a lot. So, I had no problem staying in my room and just sleeping the whole day for a week. Because I would have instant of staying awake for 7 days. Or obviously I would crash after that. So there I was in rehab, was like, whoa, what just happened? Got into rehab. I did a 28-day instant. That's where I got first introduced to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I remember people being very happy there. They had their shit sorted. They had life together. And they told me, they gave me suggestion. They told me what's going to happen if I don't follow it. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it my way. So a few of those suggestions were, don't go back to your same school. Don't get into a relationship. Try to attend meetings. Get a sponsor. I went out. I went back to the same school. I got into a relationship straight away. I didn't get a sponsor. And my justification was there was no meeting in Mauritius, so I'm not going to go to meeting. So that relationship, I thought I came out of rehab and I kind of found love. And that relationship lasted for a short time because I started acting out in my behavior. I was very controlling, very jealous. I wouldn't let her talk to any other guys. I had to know where she is every time. She doesn't reply after 1 minute, like she's talking to somebody else. Became very angry, and I would shout at her, and yeah, it just didn't work out. So kind of that fell apart, and at that time I wasn't using because that kind of was saving me. That fell apart, so I was like, okay, I need something else to fix me now. So again, going back to rehab, what I did in rehab was I learned more about drugs in rehab, which is not something you're supposed to do. But that's what I did. It was a holiday for me. I was enjoying time with people that are have been in jail and whatever, and draw from the experience how to use this drug and what to expect. So yeah, after that I found my drug of choice, which got me to my knees. At that point I would have said very quickly, but it carried on for 2 years after that. So yeah. I was basically not being able to live a life. I would wake up in the morning and use just to feel normal, just not to get just to get rid of the pain. And my whole day was consumed with using from 7 o'clock to the morning and coming back home at 5 in the afternoon, and then I would sleep to the next 7 o'clock, and I would carry on. I lost my relationship with my brothers and sisters. There was no talking. The only brother that I was talking to was my younger brother, which I introduced him to whatever substance I was using, just so that he could help me steal money for selfish reason. And I would get, and then he wouldn't tell my parents what I'm doing. He was in the same school as me, so he knew what was happening. So he was using with me. Yeah, the rest of them, at that point, till now, I haven't spoken to my older sister for 3 years. My younger brother and my younger sister, they had to go through a lot. I would come home, and by that point, my mom didn't really know anything about the whole substance thing, but at that point, she had a PhD in drug use. She knows when my pupil is going to be dilated, when it's going to be small, what drug I was on at that time. So she'd had this torch, and I'd come back home, and she'd like check my eyes. And so she knew everything, and she would tell me, like, you're trying to manipulate me, like those stuff like this, or you're being selfish, you're going out, you're not thinking about me, like stuff like that. And I wouldn't give a shit about it. So that kind of went on. My whole family life was destroyed. It was just a place for me to sleep at night, and I'd get out and do the same thing again. It got to a point where they saw like it was really getting bad, and money was disappearing in the house, stuff was disappearing in the house, and obviously I'm always the one to blame because I'm doing this stuff, but I kind of like had resentment against this. Why'd you always blame me? Because they like out of 199 stuff I stole, that one stuff that I didn't steal, I would hold on to this. I'd be like, no, but I didn't steal that one. And I would hold resentment against this. I was like, why is my parents like this? And it got to the point where, I really didn't care about them. My mom would stand in front of the door to prevent me from going, with a knife in her hand, threatening to kill herself if I leave this house. And my response to that would be, cheers, cool, good luck, kids. Like, you're going to have to live without a mother. I'm out of here. And that's how bad of a person I was. I didn't really care. Kind of like came to, and I was mad in my head. One day I thought my dad like locked the whole house down, and it's a 4-story building, and I thought I was going to jump from a 4-story, I was going to land down there, and I was going to still be alive and go use. And I would do anything to use. I'd smash stuff, and until they let me out. They wouldn't get peace until they let me out. So anyway, kind of like when I reached like a point of kind of desperation a little bit, where I said, listen, I want to go to rehab. And I went back there, and I did the 12-step. I just wrote it down. There was no action whatsoever. I just like spent time there. And then I was amazed when I got the chance to go into secondary, where I was allowed to go out. The first day I get to go out from this rehab, like during the day, and come back at night. I went to a pharmacy and bought pills and bought painkillers because it was the same as my drug, and I relapsed. And I'd go to meeting high, and yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but I couldn't understand. I wanted it so badly. Why wasn't it working? And anyway, I got out of this rehab, and I came back home, and I carried on. And my parents kind of like lost faith into the 12-step and like rehab and whatever. So started sending me to psychiatrists, and I would give them a rundown of what the psychiatrist is going to say before I go there, like exactly how much they're going to make you pay and what they're going to give me, and I'd write it down on paper. I told my mom, like, you might as well give me the money to go use, like I'll be better off there. She's like, no, just do this for me, like, okay, cool. But if I do get it right exactly, you give me the same amount of money when I'm back. And then she would agree to that. So I'd go, and then the psychiatrist would be like, cool, you're feeling depressed, boom. You're having trouble to sleep at night, boom. And all this stuff. And I came back home, like, some meds, and I would just, like, drop all in one day, and then I'd carry on using. So my parents were desperate. I wasn't desperate. I also lost faith in, like, the 12-step program, and I was kind of like, okay, cool, that's not working for me. Let's try to find another way. So my parents sent me to a weird treatment center where they were giving you psychedelics to get better. And that was what I tried. Didn't work. Anyway, a few rehabs later, I ended up like having my last relapse where I thought I had everything that I wanted. I got a chance to go to university. I thought that would fix me being like a normal kid, and that would be okay. And I was away. I wasn't living in my parents' house. I was in South Africa here. I was living on my own. So I thought I had everything, but yeah, it didn't work. I relapsed, and I ended up back on my drug of choice. And yeah, this was kind of like different for me this time because the consequences were were bigger compared to my consequences at home. I wasn't able to like steal from my parents anymore. So yeah, I started selling my stuff, and yeah, I gave up on myself. I wouldn't shower for like 3 weeks. I wouldn't brush my teeth. I couldn't function. Stopped going to lectures. Yeah, and I decided to go live on the street. I wasn't left on the street. I decided to go live on the street. The only reason because I could get more money there. I could con people and lie because I'm good at this, and get a lot of money and use. And I remember coming to the point where I just didn't want to live anymore. I'll use till I pass out and hope I'm not going to wake up the next day. And I'll still wake up, and it's still the same thing again and again and again. And yeah, my point of desperation was kind of like, I made some friends, like temporary friends. I pushed all of them away. I didn't want anything to do with anybody. I was in my flat alone, and the only light that was on was my lighter. And I was in this dark place, like crawling up into a small hole. And I said, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to live this way. And yeah. Anyway, fast forward, I kind of like asked for help with my parents, sent me to rehab again, and I came here in Dududu. And yeah, I was full of arrogance. I thought I knew everything about the program. I came in, I would like lip read the preambles and the steps in meeting and have to get concerned for this. And yeah, I wanted to stay only for 28 days because my idea is that the 12th step doesn't work. So yeah, but something changed there. I remember getting in there and seeing people working a program and staying clean or staying sober for a long time, and coming to meetings and them sharing about life stuff. Because for me, it's easy to get sober. When I go to rehab, I get sober. It's very easy. But that's not what this book taught me. That book taught me to stay stop and to learn how to live life, because all my solution is in that book. So yeah, I got told there was one person that was very pertinent to my recovery. He's done like rehab a few times also. He told me, cool, you're staying here for 28 days, just do your step 1 properly. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And I started writing all this stuff down, whatever that came through my head. And I could see how unmanageable my life was. It was a mess. I needed to do something about it. I didn't like the place at the start. I was very resentful at like having to do duties because I'm very entitled. I can't sweep and mop a floor. Yeah, and I phoned my mom, and I was like bad-mouthing the counselors and like how they don't know how to do their job. But anyway, that kind of like moved forward when I committed to stay 3 months. And I was privileged to be in a treatment center, and I'm not saying that you need to be in a treatment center, but that was my experience, because while I say I was privileged, I got to do the 12th step in like a short period of time where I could really focus on my step every step, like one step at a time. And yeah, I still had a lot to fight with. My fight wasn't over yet. I remember like getting with a clique of people that all were youngsters and whatever, and yeah, they all went. Well, there was a concern group, and they all were going down the driveway on that day. And I came to my sponsor, and I told him, listen, I packed my bags and I'm going. He looked at me, he's like, are you serious? Are you joking? Because 3 people already left, and I was like the 4th person that's like walking down the driveway. So, but at that point, I don't know what happened, but I just got honest, and we got down to the point that I was resentful at somebody in the house, and I had to sort it out. And yeah, I decided to stay. And I remember Caleb telling me that today can be the day that you go out there, and it's going to be another cycle for another 10 years, or you can choose to listen to me and stay, and your life is going to change. And I chose the second one. I stayed, and I did whatever I had to do. I finished my steps, and it was a very good experience after this because there was no fight left. I trusted the process and kind of like went with the flow. And then I didn't know what I was going to do next. I had no relationship to go back to. My family didn't want me back in Mauritius. No studies to go back to. So I got told to go to the halfway house. And yeah, there was a lot of experience that happened down there. There was good and bad experiences. But what I had was, I had a belief in God that, that is going to work. I'm giving it my best try. It's working till now. And yeah, I got down to like starting to live life. And for me, that's why I'm here today, because this program helps me to live life on life's term. I don't have to drink to be able to cope with that. And I had to find a job. I went out handing a CV out with like 3 lines on it, just my name, my number, and my address. I had no experience, no studies, dropped out of school, dropped out of university, unemployed. And yeah, when I was out of treatment, it was kind of like I was on this pink cloud. I was doing 8 to 10 meetings a week. I was like putting action to find a work. And I managed to find a job as a waiter. And the only reason why I got the job was because I was honest. I told him exactly where I came from, where I was, and he liked that. He liked the part of like being honest. And I had good experiences there. I was able to learn how to build relationship again with people, with normal people, and how to humble myself. Like I do a lot of mistakes, and I had to go and say sorry and do it again and do mistakes again. And yeah, I've had good experiences there. Another great experience in recovery was I was always fighting of like, I want to go home, I want to see my families, I want to make amends. And Caleb would always say, no, what's your real motive? And my real motive all the time was, I need a break from Scottbra. So he always said no. And I remember being at work one day, and Caleb phoned me, he's like, you're getting on a plane on Monday, you're going home. And that was, I was surprised, but it was an amazing experience because this time I didn't have to go back and say like, I'm sorry, and say like, I've changed now. I just went there and do the change. I woke up in the morning, make my bed, help around in the house, listen to my parents, whatever they're saying, did online meetings because there was no meetings there. Yeah, it was my amends process with them. I sat down and spoke to them, and it was some heavy stuff for them to hear. They were quite shocked. But what came out of those amends was they forgave me. They forgave me and told me, listen, all I want for you is, all they wanted for me was, they just want me to be happy and live life and experience life. That's all they wanted. And I was blown away by their response. And that was like this program working my life and God working in my life. So yeah, I came back. I lost my job. And I had to go find a job again. So those were like, not bad experiences, because is there a good or bad experience, but it was some hard experience. So I had to go to get a job, and I got accused of being high. And guy was a pharmacist, and he was like, yeah, if I do a drug test on you now, are you going to be positive? I'm like, no, I'm going to be negative. He's like, no, I trust my judgment. Your eyes are looking dodgy, so you've been using. And I was like, okay, cool. Didn't get that job. And I had like tough moments in my recovery where, because my obsession of drinking didn't leave me when I left treatment or when I finished the 12-step. It took a long time. I was 6 months down the line, and I still wanted relief from life. Yeah, I kind of like told people that I'm thinking about going to use, and they like, play the movie through. I played the movie through. I saw myself losing everything. And I was still going, but what I did differently this time was I sent Caleb a message, and I said, listen, I'm going to use in short term. He was there by the gate, like within 2 minutes, and chatted to me, and I talked about my stuff. And obviously, a relapse wouldn't jump out of me like this. There was a lot of dishonesties, a lot of doing stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing. And I kind of like got through that and then went forward. It's only after my 9 months that my obsession kind of left me. And I'm grateful for this today because I don't think about drinking or using again because I know it's not my solution. I got those steps to work through it. Other stuff happened. I started studying again. I'm studying something that I like to do. I love every word of it, even though it's very hard to study in recovery. No, never mind. I was going to say something really bad, but yeah. While you're not on something, let me put it that way. Just to study like normally, I don't even know how to study, and I went on Google and searched like, how do you study? And try ways like, okay, study that part and like repeating it, and then cool, I forget about it again, and then writing it down. So anyway, I tried to go do my learners, like responsible stuff, adult stuff. I failed it the first time, and in that same week I was doing my exams for what I'm studying, and I passed that, and that was like another pink cloud. Managed to pass an exam, got like a certificate behind my name. So I was quite happy about this. Anyway. There was good experiences, there was hard experiences, it was all experience. But what I kept doing was I kept helping other people. What I've learned through this process is I don't need to be in control. I don't need to take care of myself. I have faith, and every single night, faith is in my step 11 because I have faith that God's got a bigger plan for me. He knows what he's doing. All I got to do is take care of the next person, and God's got my back. And I have this analogy. It's a very long and complicated analogy, as my head likes to complicate things, but that's what I summarize my life as in recovery. So there's this plane. That plane for me is called life. So I'm sitting at the back as a passenger, right? Caleb is my pilot. As my sponsor. So, well, I had the dream of being a pilot when I was a kid, so that's why I have the analogy of a plane, but that didn't work out too well, because I'm sitting here today. So I, as a passenger, I can't see where I'm going, but I have the trust in my pilot that he's going to guide me through this stuff. And when I sit in a plane, if the pilot says, like, put on your seatbelts, like, everybody put on their seatbelts. And there's no question asked. And that's how I see my life. My sponsor gave me a suggestion. I just do it. Put a mask on. I put a mask on. And I have my moments where I just sneak in the bathroom and smoke a cigarette, which I know I'm not allowed to do. And also what I've learned in recovery is when I get out of the... When I like act out on my defects, it's either I expose it or I get exposed. Because I'm going to come back to my seat, somebody's going to smell the cigarette and expose me, or I just expose it. And all I get is like a warning of like, you're going to get out of that plane if you don't comply to what we're doing. And then I have to see my behavior and change it and apologize. Sorry, I smoked, my bad. Cool, I moved on. And I have faith that, we're going somewhere. There is going to be like turbulence. There's going to be big cloud. There's going to be a storm. And my sponsor is there to guide me through it. And whenever I'm doing everything right, I just look on the side of me and see somebody struggling to put their seatbelts. And I help them put their seatbelt for them. And but in order to get on that plane, I had to be desperate because the plane was like kind of full and it was going in the right direction. I was desperate and I begged to get on the plane. And to stay on the plane, I got to do what I got to do. And yeah, in simple terms, this is the steps for me. There's all the solutions in my life are in that book, whatever I go through. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in recovery this time, and I'm going to end with this, which is something that I really hold on to now. And it took me a long time to get it. I think I didn't get that until my 10 months of sobriety. That is because a lot of time before when I tried to get recovery, I thought when I come into recovery, I always need to be good, like I always need to be okay, which is a lie. What I've learned in recovery is like it's okay not to be okay. I messed up. I do stuff wrong. I earn it. I change my behavior. I make my amends if I have to, and I move on. And I have faith that this is going to work out. And I just want to go something that I like that chapter 6 in the big book, Into Action, and there's a part there where it says, we feel that a man is unthinking when it says that sobriety is enough. And that's when it's still talking about being a tornado roaring through the life of others. And that's for me, like, being sober, it's one part of it, like, because it's the symptom of my disease, and it's easy. I can stay away from that as long as I don't pick up that first one. I don't end up on the streets again. But what's the hard part is to change my behavior and being willing to change, and change the way, and become a better person. Just do the next right thing and help the other person. And yeah, I'm forever grateful for that. My relationship with my family is amazing now. I talk to them every day. I phone them once a week, and they, like, I want to know what's going on for them. I know when my brothers and sisters and parents' birthday is. Yeah, they're happy for me. I'm moving forward in life. I'm getting opportunity. I'm going to Thailand soon. I'm going to try to volunteer there. And I'm going to do something that I like to do, which is work with other alcoholics. And I love doing this. And this wouldn't be happening if I was still drinking. And if I wasn't following this program and listening to every suggestion and seeing the bigger picture. Because the small picture is like, yeah, shit was happening in my recovery, and I wanted to run away. I wanted to go somewhere else. But I stayed, and I did the right action. I put in the right action, and now I can see the bigger picture. Well, maybe there's a bigger one, but that I can't see. But I have faith that, you know, God's got a plan for me. And my sponsor, yeah, he's been a great inspiration, and yeah, I wouldn't change him for anybody else. And suggestions were hard at times, but I kind of like had to go through it because there's something obviously working for him, and I got to do the same thing for it to work for me. And I listened to every single thing, because the only way that I can get this for 100% is if I listen to every single suggestion of somebody that is already doing it. If I don't, I'm going to be part of that 97%. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be here today. Grateful to have God in my life, and I don't have to be in control anymore. Yeah, have other people around me, because I can't do this on my own. I can't see when I'm acting out on my own because I justify it in my head. I need people in the halfway house to concern me again and again and again and tell me, Mo, you're not okay. And then I take that in and I change my behavior. So anyway, I'm not going to go on for too long. I think that's all of it. So yeah, thanks for listening. I hope somebody got something out of this. So yeah, thanks for letting me share.